Hi, it's Rebecca Sullivan from Lewisville Family Counseling, and we are going to read Chapter 36 of Just One Thing, Developing a Buddha Brain One Simple Practice at a Time by Dr. Rick Hansen. Please excuse me if I get out of breath. My fall allergies are popping up like crazy year-round, but fall and spring are the worst, so we will power through this. Now, Chapter 36 is called Accept the Limits of Your Influence, and this is a really great chapter for right now as we continue to experience the effects of COVID-19. How we can't change the fact that it's impacted jobs, it's impacted our kids going to school, it's impacted people's well-being and things like that. So we're going to see what Dr. Hansen says as far as what are things that we can do when we can't change things. The previous practice was to exercise the influence you do have, to do what you can. Of course, it's also true that each of us is very limited in what we can do or change. You can't change the past or even the present moment. Looking to the future, the only thing you can actually affect. You have little influence over other people, including their thoughts, actions, or suffering, and even less influence over the economy, government policies, or international affairs. Things happen due to causes, and of the tens of thousands of causes upstream of this moment, most of them are out of your control. You don't have the power to make something happen if the prerequisites aren't present. For example, you can't grow roses without good soil and water. If you've been pounding your head against a wall for a while, it's time to stop, accept the way it is, and move on. As I sometimes tell myself, don't try to grow roses in a parking lot. So how do we do this? In general, when faced with some fact you can't change, like you're stuck in traffic, or you feel sad, or your young daughter has just poured milk on the floor, speaking of some of my own experiences, ask yourself, can I accept that this is the way it is, whether I like it or not? Understand that acceptance does not mean approval, acquiescence, overlooking, or forgiveness. You are simply facing the facts, including the fact of your limited influence. Notice the good feelings that come with acceptance, even if there are also painful feelings about the various facts. Notice that acceptance usually brings you more resources for dealing with life's difficulties. If you cannot accept a fact, that it exists, that it has happened, whatever your preferences may be, then see if you can accept the fact that you cannot accept the fact. More specifically, consider these reflections. Review a life event that has troubled you. See if you can accept it as something that happened, like it or not, and is truly just a part of a much larger and probably mainly positive whole. Consider an aspect of your body or your personality that you don't like. Tell the truth to yourself about the extent to which you can change it, and make a clear choice as to what you will actually do. Then see if you can accept whatever remains as it is, just the way it is, and only a small part of the much larger and generally positive whole that is you. Bring to mind a key person in your life. Have there been any ways that you've been trying to affect or change a person that are just not working? What limits your influence here? Do you need to accept that? Consider something you've wanted to happen, but been frustrated about, perhaps a career shift, or a certain school working out for your child, or a sell to a new customer. Are the necessary supporting conditions truly present? If they are, then maybe stick with it and be patient. But if they are not present, if you're trying to grow roses in a parking lot, consider shifting your hopes and efforts in another direction. So as Dr. Hansen was describing, unfortunately, we have very little control over most things. A lot of times I tell my client, really the only things that you have control over are the things that you say, that you do, and your actions, and your responses to things that happen. So let's try to be aware of the thoughts that we're having and remind ourselves, what can I do right now? What can I control in this moment? I'll see you next week.